Hey guys, this is Spidey123 here, and this is my first. This is like a really different video to what I usually do, but I thought, why not? It'd be something fun, something different. So today I thought I would show you like my Spider-Man figure collection. I do not have that many. I am not an avid figure collector. I've collected a few over the last few months, and as a child I had tons and tons, some of which you will see in here that are still in good enough condition. Majority of these figures are 6 inch, and I'm not an action figure expert, so I can't tell you the line they came from for the most case. But I'm pretty proud of my little collection, and I'm still deciding whether I should put these on display or keep them in the box. But either way, I'm pretty proud of my collection. So let's get into it. So this is the cheapest, one of the cheapest ones in the collection. This one's about 6 inches, and it's just a typical Spider-Man figure with the modern logo. It's used in a lot of merchandise nowadays. I like this figure. It cost about £3. It isn't that much. In UK currency, for anyone that's not from the UK or doesn't know, it's really cheap. So it's easy to pick up, and it looks pretty good displayed next to other Spider-Man figures. It looks still pretty legit. So I'll put that there. I'm going to move this box closer. We've got the classic Spider-Man. This isn't a Marvel Legends figure either. Not the two figures the figure I just showed you there and this figure here are not Marvel Legends, but they're still 6 inches or around that. This is your typical classic Spider-Man figure. I enjoy this figure. It had two web ropes on it, which I cut off for the sole purpose of better display. It looks better. But yeah, I like this suit. It's probably my favourite suit, just classic Spidey. And if I do buy another figure, the one I'll buy will be the 90s animated Spider-Man Marvel Legends line, because I really like the look of that figure. Put that there. Next up, just get this one. This is one of the newest figures I've bought. Obviously it's not new in terms of release, but newest figure I've bought. It's in excellent condition, and it is the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man from Spider-Man 3. The suit they used in Spider-Man 3. And this is typically what's known as the Sam Raimi suit. I love the Sam Raimi trilogy. This channel has mainly been dedicated to Sam Raimi Spider-Man style main titles for a theoretical Spider-Man 4 and things like that. So yeah, awesome figure. I love this figure. I hope they re-release it or make a new version of it, Marvel Legends, and I would love it because this is one of my favourite figures, and it's great for display as well. And it costs quite a lot of money as well, so it's definitely rare. This figure, Toy Biz figure, is actually from my childhood. Sorry. Spoke too fast there, but I would say this is mainly based off the Steve Ditko Spider-Man from the 60s. And I don't know if I can show you here. I can. It comes with a reversible head, Peter Parker's head, and then you put it back, Spider-Man's head. A bit too thick for a Spider-Man figure. And this is a childhood figure, but I like it for display, and it's about 6 inches as well. And it has that typical classic Ditko look, which everyone loves, including myself, the early Steve Ditko Stan Lee comics. Put that there. Next is a new figure, the Infinity War Spider-Man. I bought this in a 2-pack with an Iron Man figure, Marvel Legends. I think it was like the 10-year anniversary Marvel Studios thing. Love this figure. The arms, I decided not to put on. They were awesome, of course. I know they're exclusive to that 2-pack, but I just prefer them without the arms. The arms are still around here somewhere. I've not thrown them out or anything, and it comes with an alternative Tom Holland head, which I do have, and you can obviously change the head, which is awesome. But I do love this suit. I know it's CGI for the most part, but I do love this suit. Okay. So next up we've got the stealth suit from Spider-Man Far From Home. Another suit that I also love. I love this suit. I think it's awesome. I don't even like the movie that much, but I like the suit. I think it's pretty cool. I do not like Spider-Man Far From Home, but I loved Homecoming, and I like Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man. And this is a cool suit. I got it pretty cheap at my local Asda, and it was about £14, so it was a pretty good price, and it's good for the collection. Next up is the homemade Spider-Man suit. Now, this is the first figure I believe I've shown to you that is not exactly 6 inches. It is slightly smaller, but it is still reasonably up to scale with the other Tom Holland figures. And I suppose I like this look. I like this figure. I love the suit from Homecoming, and you see it briefly in Civil War, and you see it briefly in Far From Home in the Mysterio illusion. But I'm happy with this figure, and he's 14. If we're talking when he started wearing this suit, when he was first Spider-Man in the MCU, he was about 14, so I guess it makes sense that he'd be a little bit smaller. So I like this figure, and the Tom Holland Spider-Man's relatively a smaller in size character anyway, compared to your average Spider-Man character, so I like this figure, and I'm glad I got it. I got that figure when Homecoming came out as a gift, and I like it. I might not collect action figures anymore, but when I do get them, it's usually Spider-Man. So next up, I might as well move on. This is the Spider-Man Homecoming suit. I love this outfit when I first seen it in Civil War, and it looked even better in Homecoming because they could, obviously didn't look at CGI, but understand how the filmmakers were, the position they were in at this time, how late of a addition he was to the Civil War movie. And I prefer this figure to the Marvel Legends one. I think the colour's better. I would still get the Marvel Legends one, and I'm referring to the Spider-Man Homecoming Marvel Legends figure, not the Civil War one, the 6-inch one. This is also just under 6 inches, but yeah, again, it still looks reasonably good up to scale, but I still like this figure, and if I ever get the Marvel Legends one, I will put that in my collection, but this will always be part of it, and I like this figure a lot, especially the back symbol, very reminiscent of the comics and the 90s animated show. It's just a classic Spider-Man back symbol, which is my favourite for sure, in terms of the back symbols, and I'm glad it's used in a lot of the Spider-Man suits. So yeah, I love this costume, I love this figure. I think it's the best looking Spider-Man Stark suit figure. The blues are right, the eyes are just right, the red's right. Doesn't look too grey, but if I had to pick a Marvel Legends version, I would pick the Civil War. But I still like the figures, just think this basic looking figure, basic version of the figure, the articulation's obviously not very good, but it's good for display, which is what all these figures are for mainly. But yes, I really like this figure. Next up is, I might as well just stick with the MCU theme right now. I mean, I've already done the Infinity War suit, but the Far From Home suit, this is a Marvel Legends suit, and I really like the suit. As I've said, I don't like the movie very much, but I love the suit. Ever since I've seen it, or the leaked on set photos at the time, always liked this suit, and the figure is absolutely awesome. The articulation's great. Not really a lot to say, they're a great looking figure as well. So yeah. Next up is the Spider-Man 2 Marvel Legends, I believe, or at least it's 6 inch at least. Marvel Legends figure. This is a Spider-Man 2 version of the Tobey Maguire suit. It's in not the best quality as you can see. This is a childhood figure, but for display, it's great. Not my favourite looking Tobey Maguire figure. That would go to the one that I showed you at the start of the video, the previous one from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, but it's still a very good figure that I like, and it looks cool. And it's cool to have a version from Spider-Man 2 where the colours are slightly darker. They're all basically black, to be honest, red and black, but it still looks cool. Can't deny that. Next up is, you might as well just do this one. I'll do that one in a second. The Spider-Man 1 variant of the figure. This is not 6 inches. It's slightly smaller, but it still looks cool. It's still a reasonable size. It doesn't look stupid compared to the others. A majority of these figures are 6 inch. If I ever buy Marvel figures, I try to make sure they are all up to scale. And the most common figure is 6 inch. Count how many times I've said that in this video, but still. And this figure, I love. I think it's probably I wish I had the other version, the more articulated version, but this is one I had as a kid, and I was lucky enough to find it the other day. The reason I'm even doing this video is because I was doing a bit of looking around, rummaging around in my loft upstairs, my attic, and I found these ton of Spider-Man figures, and most of them were in good condition, and this was one of them, and I was happy because I was already looking for one like this, and I'm glad I found it. So this one is perfect for the collection. So I have a Spider-Man 1 figure. The back symbol is different, the eyes are slightly smaller, the symbol is much smaller, but it's still an awesome figure from a great movie. So yeah. Next is this. I would say it's black and red, much like the Far From Home suit. This is another childhood one. This is I think this is based off the Ultimate Comics look, which I'm not the biggest fan of the Ultimate Comics, but they're okay. And I do like this figure though, and it does the splits if you press that button. The legs automatically flip up, but I'm not going to do that because I can only hold the figures right now with one hand, but it's an awesome figure. I love this figure. I like pretty much all these figures. This is just mainly to show them to you guys, to be honest. So yeah, next one. I'm just looking here. I'll do the Amazing Spider-Man figure. Now this is not a Marvel Legends. It is a cheap toy. It is basically a kid's toy. It has a little effect here, but I like it, and it's the only Andrew Garfield Spider-Man figure I have. I would like to get the TASM 2 version at some point if it ever comes up. Of course, if I got more into collecting, I would certainly seek it out, but it's only a figure I would get if I came by it. But this figure, the TASM 1 suit, of course, minus the yellow spider. Yeah, the yellow spider, sorry. This suit is pretty much accurate to the film, and it did at one point have, if anyone ever ever had this figure, or maybe still do have it, it has yellow webs, but I cut them off for display purposes because it looks much better. And it's 6 inches, so it's good display. It doesn't look stupid or anything. It looks pretty cool in comparison to other movie suits. But it's cool to at least have an Andrew Garfield, because I'm not a big fan of the Amazing Spider-Man films, but I think that the first one at the very least is okay. I like it enough, it's okay. And the second film has some decent moments, but I do not like the second one. But yeah, that's the Amazing Spider-Man 1 suit. Lucky to have at least a version of it in there somewhere, because it's not rare, but it's, you know, not exactly common to find about nowadays. Next one I'm going to show you is a variant of the Todd McFarlane Spider-Man, mostly seen in the 90s. He was one of the main illustrators of Spider-Man comics in the 90s. Also created Venom. This is definitely a Todd McFarlane Spider-Man. If I've got any of these wrong, please do feel free to tell me if you don't think this looks like the Ultimate Spider-Man, or the Spider-Man with the reversible head doesn't look like a Ditko Spider-Man. Please feel free to tell me what you think, as I'm interested to hear what other people think. Or maybe you could tell me exactly what figures they are, because some of these figures I do not know, because I got them when I was a kid. This been one I got when I was a kid. This was one I got pretty late on in my childhood, so it's in better condition than most. But most are in fine condition anyway. But this is a great figure. I love this Todd McFarlane Spider-Man figure. Would love to get one of his red and blue, but this is still red and black. I'm still very happy to have a Todd McFarlane version of Spider-Man in the collection. Next up, this is Spider-Man. This is the exact same Tobey Maguire figure I showed before, except it is very, 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 very loose. Very loose. I even tried some string to try and loosen the joints a little bit. The ball joints there, but it did not work. But it's still an okay figure. I still like it enough. Of course, it sits on it. If I ever display it, I would have to use a lot of blue tack, and the paint's really rubbed off. But the fingers are all still there. A big thing with these very heavily articulated figures is the fingers often fall off, but they're all still there, which is cool. So yeah, it's very loose, but I've obviously got a better version, so it's nice just to have. So yeah. Next figure I'm going to show you is this Spectacular Spider-Man figure. This is not an official one. This was a Burger King release. Just stands just under, not just under, but it's a little under 6 inches. But the fact that it's Spectacular Spider-Man, the cartoon, which I love, by the way, but every Spider-Man fan practically loves this show for its accuracy and depiction of these much beloved characters that Stan Lee obviously created, along with Steve Ditko, along with many other amazing creators in Marvel Comics. But I'm blabbing on. The point being, this is for a Burger King figure, this is awesome. It's basically like an action figure, and I found this one our childhood one. I know they did a 6-inch or slightly taller Spectacular Spider-Man figure, and I might get that at some point, but this still looks fine on the shelf, mainly because in Spectacular Spider-Man he is a teenager, and a very small teenager at that. So it doesn't really look that bad, and I really love the figure's design. For a basic figure, I mean the molded print of my favourite back spider logo, awesome. Looks just great, and very accurate to the show. Also the web wings are awesome, and it does this, which is awesome. Anyone ever had this figure, they know that, especially for me personally, I thought it was a steal to get with a Burger King meal. Awesome. Count how many times I've said awesome. But next figure, this one, very rare figure. Got this at a car boot sale about a decade ago, if not. In fact, it was over a decade now, the more I think about it. A 90s Spider-Man cartoon figure. This one is definitely not even, this is about under 5 inches. This is about 4 inches, 4.5, I don't know, but it's very much smaller. But I had to, when I found it upstairs in the attic, I knew I had to, at the very least, just take it downstairs and add it to the collection, because it's one of those figures that's just... I hope to get the new Marvel Legends version, but this is awesome for sure. I love this figure. It's probably one of my favourite Spider-Man figures. I just wish it was taller, but it still goes on the shelf along with some of the other smaller ones. It's only slightly, but I still love it for sure. It's a great figure, and very rare as well. It's part of the 90s animated series figure line, which I loved. That was my introduction to Spider-Man, along with Spider-Man 2. And eventually Spider-Man 1. Spider-Man 3 figure here, the symbiote suit. This is not the 6-inch special edition one, this is the regular one. It came out when the movie came out. Loved this figure. This is a childhood figure, as you can probably tell by the eyes. I don't have any 6-inch symbiote figures right now, and who knows, I might never have it. Because it's just cool to have all these. I'm very content if I never got another figure, because these are all just cool, you know, to me. And so this is a cool little figure to have, and it was a favourite as a child. And I still think Spider-Man 3 is a pretty good movie. And I like this figure. I just wish I could get a bigger version. I know they sell them out there, I've seen them. I know they do. There's a Marvel Legends symbiote one, but I don't know. The money, obviously, the money is very expensive, but still. Most expensive figure I've bought recently is the, that one there, the Tobey Maguire best condition one. So obviously there's the other one which isn't in as good condition, but still. Next, I don't even know, this is just a classic looking Spidey here. Never the biggest fan of this suit. I mean, it looks cool and everything. Kind of reminds me of the 70s show for some reason. Of course, you got the, hold on, I'll try and zoom up here. Focus on the symbol there. Yep, so yeah, pretty awesome. I mean, it's a fine little figure and I like it. But not one of my favourites. I'm not the pickiest when it comes to action figures. Just the design for me. Next is also another slightly smaller Spider-Man 3 figure that came out when the movie came out, with the ripped suit, which I loved. This is a cool. This is definitely in better condition. I think I had another version which is slightly more scuffed that I played with more when I was a child, but this one, great condition, and I really like it. Really a lot to say there. It's how he looks at the end of the Spider-Man 3 battle. Next is the Spider-Man 3. I think this figure came with the symbiote Venom at the time. The symbiote. It's also another one. Not really a lot to say here, but I like the design. It's very scuffed because I played with this a lot as well when I was a child. But still awesome. I'm just looking through here. Next, this certainly reminds me of the Mark Bagley Spider-Man from the 90s. Not the Ultimate version, just regular Spidey when he was doing I believe he did he drew Spider-Man a lot for the comics as well in the 90s, along with Todd McFarlane. But yeah, I like this version. This is a lot of people say this is very similar to the 90s animated show, and there's different variants of it, but this version as well. And I don't really get the resemblance, because his eyes are certainly smaller. The 90s Spider-Man reminds me a lot of John Romita Sr.'s art. That's just me personally, though. And it's my favourite design of the character, along with the early Ditko Spidey comics. It's one of my favourite designs anyway, but I still like this figure. I call it the Mark Bagley Spider-Man figure. Next up, this just little thing here also came with the Burger King thing. It came with another accessory, which is no longer, I don't know where it went, but it's not here anymore. But this is a cool little thing, maybe to put in your desk or something if you're a Spidey fan, particularly a particular Spider-Man fan. It's an awesome little accessory. I like it though, I think it's cool. This is I have no idea what this toy is, this figure. I have no clue, but obviously it's slightly smaller. But it's still a cool figure. It was one of the first Spider-Man figures I got, and in fact it wasn't this one, but it was one very similar to it, where it was more redder, but the mould was the same, the paint was the same, just the colours were a little different, and it was the same size. But this is still an awesome looking Spidey. If anyone knows what this Spider-Man is, or what version it is, or even what toy line it's from, just let me know, because this is an our childhood one, so... Yep. This is 2099 Spider-Man. Pretty awesome. Don't really have a lot to say. I don't know that much about the character, apart from the fact that he's from the future, and his Miguel is his name. It's not Peter Parker, that's pretty much all I can say, but still an awesome looking figure. And I know there's better looking figures of it now, but this is a very early one. But it stands at about 6 inches, so it's up to scale with the rest of them, I believe. Next is a dark style Spider-Man. This is a shaded Spider-Man, I don't know the word, but it's part of the Spider-Man 3 line. They released a lot of figures that weren't even involved with the movie, but that was awesome because you got the Green Goblin and Venom, and not Venom, Venom was in the movie. Green Goblin, and there was Vulture and Scorpion, 2 Scorpions based off their video game designs, which was awesome because you could have them fight, and they were all up to scale and they were all part of the same. And they were up to scale with the animated series figures as well, so you could maybe have like the Hobgoblin figure from the 90s show, which I do have, up to scale with like this Spider-Man figure, or I don't know, a normal looking Spider-Man figure, of course they're all the same size. It was pretty awesome. Or a Carnage figure, because Carnage was a big thing back then, when they were speculating about who would be in Spider-Man 4. The fans were anyway. So, this is another Spider-Man 2 figure, slightly smaller than the other one I showed you, but it's still pretty cool. I prefer the look of this figure more, just wish it was a little bit taller, and the articulation isn't, the articulation is not the best, but it's still cool. Still like this figure very much. The leg articulation is very good on it, and I prefer the eye look. I don't know, there's something about the eyes, I just prefer it to the other version of this figure. Next is the Photography Spider-Man, which is also from the 90s line. Photography, why am I saying photography? Just because of the camera. Battle Damage Spider-Man from the 90s. I love this suit. I think I also got it at a car boot sale. So yeah, pretty awesome. There's basically like a yard sale. And there's these 2 Swimmer Spider-Men, which I don't really have a lot to say. This one, more armor looking. And this one here is more scuba gear kind of thing, you know. If anyone knows where these 2 originate from, what they are supposed to be based off of, if it's just a random design, if you have these figures and know anything about them, please let me know, as I'd be interested to know. So, that's it. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please let me know. Updates on the Spider-Man Returns fan film will hopefully be coming soon, if it's happening. If it's not, if we can get someone to help make the film in terms of not live action, bring the film to life, that would be great. But of course, it's all still been worked out, I guess. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all later.